Welcome to Living Beyond the Invisible, where we shine a light on the challenges and experiences of living with invisible disabilities. I'm your host, Heather, and in each episode, we'll explore different aspects of life with invisible disabilities, from physical health to mental wellness and everything in between. Whether you're someone living with an invisible disability or seeking to better understand what struggles those of us who are living with them go through, you're in the right place. Hey everyone, did you notice that I changed up the opening a little bit? What do you think of it? I want your honest opinions. Last week was a mess. I was in the middle of a fibro flare. My youngest had strep. I just truthfully needed a week to get myself together. So that is why there was no episode last week. I really just needed a break. I do apologize that there wasn't a notice about the break. In the future, I will do better about giving you a notice, but sometimes life just happens and we can't control it. Now, if you're not following me on social media, you're probably curious what this episode is going to be about, especially since I changed up the intro and it doesn't say. So this week, we will be discussing loneliness and its relationship with invisible disabilities. I am going to be very honest with you. Loneliness was not what I was originally going to do this episode on. In fact, I really hadn't planned to do an entire episode on loneliness at all. But I've been feeling it a lot lately, and I kept feeling like I was being led to talk about my experiences. Yes, I could have done that in a different episode, but I truly feel like this topic needs its own spotlight. So let's dive in, shall we? Now, I don't have any real statistics for you for this episode. I've just really put together my own experiences and those of others that I have talked to. So keep that in mind while listening to this. Normally I add statistics, but this time I don't have any. Loneliness is often viewed as a social or emotional state. But when you add invisible disabilities into the mix, it becomes more complex. People with invisible disabilities often face the isolation of not being understood, sometimes even by those closest to them. Friends or family may say, "But you don't look sick," or they might not grasp why you can't join them for an event due to, your overwhelming fatigue or pain. This creates a disconnect, a loneliness that's more than just physical isolation. It's emotional, psychological, and social. Let's take fibromyalgia for an example. It's a condition that I personally live with, and it's also a condition where someone may appear perfectly healthy, but inside they could be battling debilitating pain and fatigue. How do you explain that to someone? Explain to them why you can't meet up for coffee when to the outside world, you look completely fine. Over time, this can create a sense of exclusion and ultimately lead to loneliness. I do want to talk about the double burden that people with chronic invisible disabilities carry. Not only do we struggle with the symptoms of our condition, but also with the loneliness that comes from a lack of understanding or support. There are studies that have shown that individuals with chronic conditions are more likely to experience loneliness than the general population. There is one survey, and I didn't go into it very deeply, but it's, I believe, from the British charity versus Arthritis. Over half of people with chronic pain report feeling isolated, and a third say that they often feel lonely. And that is really the only statistic I could find. And I don't feel like it's a real, full statistic, but it does fit. And it's not just about social gatherings. It can extend to the workplace or even healthcare settings. Imagine visiting multiple doctors who tell you nothing is wrong or it's all in your head. How would you feel? I can tell you from personal experience that this kind of dismissal adds to the sense of isolation that we feel. Being told that we are constantly exaggerating or making it up is very hard, especially by doctors who are supposed to be there to help us. I have mentioned this many, many times in the past, but I feel like isolation is the biggest influence in my struggles with mental health issues. I am alone more often than not due to my husband working. Our oldest is away at college and our younger two are in school all day. Now, can we help that I'm here all day alone? No, of course not. I mean, Andrew has to work. The girls have to go to school. But the isolation is hard on me. It's not like I can go out and visit friends or family because the pain makes it unbearable. I'm also unable to drive right now due to my pain, as well as the issues that I'm having with my spine that I think I've told you about before, which has caused me to fall many times. And that's how I hurt my ankle about 2 months ago. I am always at home. I only leave the house most of the time in order to go to doctor's appointments, physical therapy, or to church. Now, don't get me wrong. I love that I am able to go to church. I enjoy it. I am thankful that I can, and I truly believe that that is God's doing that allows me to be able to make it to church every week. But I miss getting out of the house just to go somewhere fun. Not that church isn't fun, but I think you know what I mean. We've discussed isolation, and I feel like we can't talk about loneliness without addressing the mental health impact. Chronic loneliness has been linked to increased rates of anxiety and depression. And for those living with conditions like congenital heart defects, fibromyalgia, lupus, and many, many, many more, the mental toll can sometimes feel heavier than the physical symptoms themselves. I did read an insightful article recently that described loneliness in this context as the emotional tax of an invisible disability. What a perfect way to put it. This sense of being cut off from the rest of the world is a constant emotional strain that goes largely unnoticed by others. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Trust me, I have been there, and it's not a fun thing to do or to feel. I know we've talked about this before in the mental health episode and other episodes, but isolation and loneliness are the biggest impact on my mental health personally. As I mentioned earlier, isolation is very difficult. But what about depression and anxiety? Those are hard too and aren't always the result of isolation. I have days of severe depression where I'm not a good person to be around because I'm emotional and sometimes temperamental as well. The pain that I live through daily takes a huge toll on my body and my mind, which causes thoughts of not being good enough. It's truly rough on most of us living with invisible disabilities or chronic pain. So how do we combat the loneliness when living with an invisible disability? There's honestly no one-size-fits-all answer or really even one right answer, but there are a few strategies that can help. First, it is important to find your tribe. There are places online and through social media where you can find others who are living with invisible disabilities or chronic illnesses. The people in those groups are going to have a better understanding of what you are living through than just about anyone else in your life. I've mentioned this every single episode, but I am hoping to build Living Beyond the Invisible into one such community. I want this podcast and my social media platforms to be a safe haven for those who are like me and who need it. Having somewhere to turn when you need it most is so, so important. Second, I want you to advocate for yourself. I know, this one can be very difficult. I struggle with it as well. But sometimes we have to educate those around us as they likely won't understand if we don't. One example of this may be explaining to a friend or family member why you have to cancel plans with them. They likely won't get why you look fine on the outside, but tell them you can't meet for that coffee date or that movie date or whatever it is due to having a flare-up or other symptoms. You will need to educate them and explain what living like this is truly like. I have had to have these conversations often, and sometimes more than once with the same person. It isn't fun. It isn't easy. And it's hard for, them to understand, but it is important that we advocate for ourselves and we stay strong while doing so. Third and finally, don't underestimate the power of therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy or even simple talk therapy can help you work through feelings of loneliness and isolation. It's important to have someone who will listen and provide validation for what you're experiencing. If you can't afford actual therapy, find a friend who is also living with an invisible disability or chronic illness. Speak to your pastor or another trusted person from your church, or even speak with your doctor because your hospital or clinic may offer therapy for cheap or free. I've said this before and I'll say it again and again and again. You can even reach out to me and I will always help where I can, even if it's just someone to listen. Now, I have mixed my experiences in throughout this entire episode, but now I want to shift gears a little bit and really discuss my thoughts and feelings on loneliness. I have mentioned time and time again that loneliness is something I deal with daily. I've even mentioned it multiple times in this episode. But it really goes deeper than that if I'm being honest. Due to my health issues, I feel like I am being left behind more often than not, and I apologize if I get emotional. I see my friends hanging out together, or I hear about it afterward, and my feelings get hurt because I wasn't invited to tag along. Now, part of the problem is I don't have any little kids. My kids are older, and most of my friends have younger kids, toddler, early elementary school age kids. So I get that that plays a part, but, it is what it is. Now, I do fully realize that even if I was invited to attend, I'd likely have to cancel last minute due to my pain levels. And I 100% understand how frustrating that must be for the people in my life to constantly invite me to things and me have to cancel last minute. I do get that that's frustrating. I do. I promise I do. But what I don't think anyone else realizes is just how frustrating that is for me. Now, if my friends are listening to this, please know that I am not trying to hurt anyone by what I'm saying. I'm just speaking my truth. I love you all and I'm thankful for your friendships, but I do feel lost. I feel like a burden on everyone. I feel like most of the time my friends just tolerate my presence and are sick of my excuses. And I apologize for getting emotional. This is just really hard. Over the last year and a half, I feel like not only my health has gone downhill, but my life in general has as well. I used to talk to my friends daily. I used to be able to go do things with them regularly, but now I can't, and I feel like I've lost most everyone. It's beyond lonely and something that I'm not sure how to fix. Because I can't change my symptoms. I can't make the pain go away. I can't stop the stiffness or control my depression. Trust me, I've tried, but it's not something I can just make happen or stop. Right now, right this minute, I am in so much pain. I've had to pause and restart this episode at least 5 times. While you guys get a 15 to 20 minute clean episode, it generally takes me at least 2 to 3 hours to record it because of my pain, brain fog, and stiffness. It takes another 2 to 3 hours to write the script for any of my episodes because I have to stop again and again due to pain and stiffness. Then another 2 to 3 hours to edit the episode because, yet again, I have to stop because of my symptoms. This is one reason that I'm not able to work, because I can't just sit down and spend hours doing one thing. The pain gets the best of me. The stiffness gets the best of me. The brain fog is horrible. So hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from. And I'm telling you those facts so that you understand My pain, stiffness, and all of my other symptoms control my life. I can't be spontaneous anymore. I have to plan things out, and even when I do plan them out, sometimes I have to cancel things because of how I'm feeling. You may be asking what this has to do with loneliness, and the answer is really simple. My symptoms are the reason I deal with loneliness. Most people don't or can't understand how I feel on the inside. They see how I look on the outside and falsely think there is nothing wrong with me. But on the inside, I feel like I'm dying dang near every day. So where do we go from here? If you're someone struggling with loneliness and living with an invisible condition, know that your feelings are valid. You are not alone, even when it feels that way. It's okay to reach out, to seek support, and to set boundaries with others when you need to. And if you're someone who knows someone living with an invisible disability, don't assume they're okay just because they look fine. Reach out to them. Show up for them in meaningful ways. Ask yourself if you are doing what you can to understand what they are going through. Are you checking on them? How can you help them to feel less lonely? No, it is not necessarily your responsibility to do these things. But if they are your friend or your family member and you truly care about them, why wouldn't you want to help? Why wouldn't you want to try to make their life a little easier when you know they're already dealing with so much? If you're not sure how to help, reach out to me. I will gladly walk you through it and help you help them. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Living Beyond the Invisible. I hope you found the insights and stories shared today helpful and inspiring. Remember, living with an invisible disability is a journey, and together we can navigate the challenges and celebrate the triumphs. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps me reach more listeners and build a stronger community. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Living Beyond the Invisible for updates and additional resources. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, which I will have linked in the show notes. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep living beyond the invisible.